The United States government has ended temporary protected status for nationals of Somalia, South Sudan, Cameroon and Ethiopia leaving in the country, further tightening humanitarian immigration protections. The latest termination followed reviews by the Department of Homeland Security, which determined that the affected countries no longer met the statutory requirements for TPS. Somalia's designation ended on August 14th, while South Sudan expired on August 7th. Now, TPS allows eligible nationals already in the U.S. to remain and work legally when conflict, disasters, or other extraordinary conditions make returning unsafe. Joining us now is Global Affairs Analyst Ejike Okpa to give us more insight into this development. Mr. Okpa, it's good to have you join us on the news. Good evening to you. What are the broader geopolitical implications of the United States ending temporary protected status for nationals of 4 African countries, particularly for the U.S.-Africa relations?
I don't think there's, thank you for having me. I don't think there's any broader implication on this. It is what it is. It wasn't a permanent, it was temporary. And then if you are granting somebody a temporary reprieve, so what happens when you review those conditions that enabled you to do it in the first place? And then if those conditions that made them leave are no longer there, you say you got to go. I think in a way, the U.S. have fought them for this, has created this dependency syndrome, making it for countries to not think they can chase their own people out and then America will take them. Now, no country now is governed by anybody foreign to that particular country. Countries should take responsibility for their own citizens, and then when their leadership is not doing them good, they should sit back there and fight. When America had a civil war, they didn't leave and go back to Europe. They stood here and they fought themselves, killed millions of them, of themselves in order to have the country they have. So this idea that every country, once you have a problem, you come knocking on the door of America and America should take you out, I think is a way of encouraging irresponsibility. So the Sudanese and whomever else has been told to go back home, go over there and deal with your own government. It is your people. These are your brothers and sisters that are in charge of your life. And if they are abusing you, then, turn around and resist them. Maybe that way they can have a change of mind and begin to be a responsive government.
How significant is this decision as part of Trump's administration's wider immigration policy? And could it signal further restrictions on African migrants inside of the U.S.?
Well, it's not just Africans. I mean, the number of people coming from South America has significantly dropped. Haitians, were on this temporary protective thing, and they have been, told you got to go, and they are being removed. So, Americans are tired of having to deal with people who come to this country and they want to assert their own cultures and ways, forgetting that they were being given an opportunity to have a better life. And because you don't come into somebody's home and you begin to dictate to them how they should do things in their own home. If not, stay back in your own home country and then do it better. But just to come here and overwhelm the system, become socially dependent people, welfare, and start committing certain crimes that offends the host, then the host has the duty to take an action. And if that action doesn't even have to be justified, you say you gotta have to get out. Every president has done it, except now that Trump is doing it, and because people who don't like Trump for whatever reason are just screaming. Obama did it, Biden did it, Clinton did it, Bush did it. There are people always removing people in America, but because Trump, those people who have the TDS are always gonna make Trump look like he's the bad guy. He's not the bad guy. He's doing what those who elected him wanted him to do.
And what could be the humanitarian and economic consequences for affected nationals who may now face uncertainty over their legal status and ability to remain in the United States?
Well, they were never given any legal status. Even if when you are given a green card, that can be revoked. When you get a citizenship by naturalization, that can be revoked if there are certain things that happen. So, but again, my thing is, don't go to your neighbor's house and begin to violate them because your own home is not, well. So the legal implications and the economic implication, political, there's always implications, but we are better off to deal with our own issues than to deal with issues created by people who consider visitors or guests. Who now think, oh, I'm in America, I'm going to do whatever I wish. This is a nation of laws, and our laws are very fluid. It's not a law of 50 years, 70 years. It's a constant review, and we go back and begin to look at, what it is that enabled these people to do it. Maybe it's an oversight on the American side, and then they say, oh no, we're not going to do it anymore. And that's why you have federal judges, who can issue orders. I mean, America is the only country. If somebody's getting deported in China, I don't think there's any law. Any Chinese court would say, no, the chairman can do it, or in Russia. So America is still the place where, somebody has the right to say, hey, you can remove me, and they get a judgment. But the chief executive officer of America is the president, and, he's gone back to court, he's gone back to Supreme Court and say, you can do it. And Americans want him to do it. There's no more come one, come all. I mean, maybe when America was started, they opened their door, said, give me your poor, give me your dejected, we can make it better. And they did that. But now, people are coming here not to be American. They're just coming here to be people from their own country. And then it's putting a pressure on the system. And the people, they're going to say, no, this is not what we bargained for.
Could the termination of TPS influence migration patterns and remittances and even economic conditions in Somalia, South Sudan, Cameroon, or Ethiopia?
Of course you will. You've seen what the Somalis in what is it called in Minnesota are alleged to have done. How much millions of billions they were sending home. So maybe that is enough shelter for them to now go home and turn those money around. But you can be at the source of your safety and then undermining it for a place you don't live. And that's something what I don't understand with African immigrants. You are in America and then you are still caught up in where you came from. Where you came from was the reason you left. But it's where you are enamored with. Every little penny you make, you send home. And at the end of the day, you go over there, the people you are sending the money to haven't done anything to improve themselves. They've squandered the opportunity because, until you invest in yourself and you have the responsibility to monitor your investment, money given, anytime you give somebody something, they never become wealthy. You have to earn it, and you have to earn it by discipline and dedication, and then commitment to watch that thing grow. So, the Somalis that have done whatever it is, let them go. Let them now go back to Somalia, which is, one of the most, badly governed country in the world. Let them go over there and make it rain. Maybe the Americans will regret having taken them out.
And lastly, if I let you go, how should African governments respond diplomatically, and what leverage do they have in engaging Washington over the welfare of their citizens?
Well, good question. But so who is the African? Are you talking about AU? AU has no clout. AU has no muscle. Or then I think it goes down to the individual countries. There are 54 African countries. So each country, there's no African president. There's no, in terms of one unified individual holding that position. So what matters in this is you go out, you go speak about your own particular country. If there's something going on with Nigeria and US, it's up to the leadership of Nigeria, through the president or the minister or the ambassador, to engage America. Don't be concerned about Ghana. Don't be concerned about any other person. When you have strengthened yourself, remember, if you fly in an airplane and he said if there's a crisis, secure yourself before you even reach out for your child. Africa has diluted their own ability, talking about Africa. No, there are 54 African countries. So which one are you going to, be in bed with? So diplomacy has to be bilateral before it gets benefit of multilateral. And then, the parts cannot be strong if the whole cannot be strong if the parts are weak. And that's what is affecting Africa, because no African country has gained the muscle to speak on behalf of their own country, so that other country can copy and paste that. But everybody, Africa. No, I live in North America, and North America includes Canada, Mexico, and America, and the US. We don't talk about Canadians. We don't talk about Mexicans. They have the right to say they're Americans, but America, US has built the brand. And so they have that exclusive name even then, Mexicans can say they are American. So that's what I'm saying. Speak for your own people. Let charity begin from home before it takes root abroad. And I hope Nigeria takes that lead, because the most populous black nation is Nigeria. The president of Nigeria, when they speak, should not just be speaking about Nigeria, they should be speaking about the black race, so that anywhere a black person is, they look at that person speaking and say, he is speaking on our behalf. But before you do on your behalf, do for yourself first.
All right. Well, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us, sir. Ejike Okpa is a global affairs analyst. He joined us all the way from Texas, Dallas. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we come back, there's more. Stay with us.